I don't have to tell you things are bad. If you have discernment and you're a subscriber of my channel, you already know things are bad. You know that I think that we've already gone over the cliff, past the point of no return. I mean, crime is rampant in the streets. It's worse than I've ever seen. Horrific crimes, like, you know, I just heard one the other day where this Uber driver, Uber Eats or whatever they call it, where you have food delivered to your home down in Florida, an illegal killed this man and cut his body up into a bunch of different pieces and tried to sneak him out with his roommate. I mean, just unbelievable. And this guy, of course, he had like tattoos, gang tattoos all over his face and stuff. So signs were there, and we know that criminal activity is going crazy through the roof. I was just reading a story right before I made this video. 700,000 to 1 million illegal aliens are down lining up on the southern border right now, waiting for the moment when Title 42 ends. And when they do, they're going to invade the country. I've made videos in the past about the invasion that's currently going on. You know, there aren't a whole lot of duties specifically named in the Constitution that the Congress and the president is supposed to do, but one of those duties is to protect us from against invasion, and that's what's going on. So a dollar buys a nickel's worth. That's no doubt about it. They're intentionally breaking the dollar in our country right now, as I've discussed many times in many other videos. We're not going to go into that. But yeah, just everything is going to hell in a handbasket. You could pick any specific issue, whether that be, you know, the bathrooms up in Kansas. There was a law passed, I guess. I don't know if the governor's going to veto it or what, but there was a law that basically said, hey, if you're a boy, you have to go to the boys' room. If you're a girl, you have to go to the girls' room. And the LGBT community is acting like it's the worst thing that's ever happened. Like they're being violently attacked. And the stage is being set, and actually you might argue that a revolution, a cultural revolution, has already been going on with the leftists and the Marxists and the communists that have infiltrated our government and our institutions and every level of the deep state. Every bureaucracy there is, whether that be a state bureaucracy or a federal bureaucracy, has been infiltrated by these actors, these people that want to destroy the United States of America. And they get in there and they become career politicians or career bureaucrats, where they get like basically a silver spoon shoved up there, you know what, and they get to do whatever they want and walk all over your rights, your God-given natural rights. And a lot of people, you know, they come on into the comments and they're like, well, all you're doing is complaining and griping. You're never providing any solutions. The solutions have already been provided. The answer to 1984 is 1776. More specifically, July 4th, 1776, where our founding fathers bravely wrote this. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to read part of the most important part of the Declaration of Independence. Here it goes. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. So, God-given natural rights is what they're talking about. A decent respect to the opinion of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. So I've already laid out some ideas here, just a few. They're breaking the dollar. They've kicked the door wide open on the southern border. They're demoralizing and communizing our children. Through all of this LGBTQ nonsense that they're pushing down the throats of our children in the schools, in the school libraries, in public libraries, in places that our tax dollars are paying for. Hell, it's not even good enough that they do that. They're sending billions of dollars to foreign countries for their gender studies programs. So, unbelievable. Next part, we hold these truths to be self-evident, meaning everyone ought to know these things when they're born. They're born with this knowledge. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Somebody came into my comments here recently and has been accusing me on multiple videos of racism, or like dog whistling racism basically at me. And they were like, well, what does that mean? Because in one of my videos I was talking about the Constitution and how we should, get behind that, bolster it up, go back to the Constitution. Go back to the old ways. And this person came in there and assumed I meant bring slavery back and that blacks were not included in this. No, it says, we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. That includes black men, Indian, Native American men, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you're an American, you're an American. That's who I'm talking to, not white people or whatever. I mean, how petty is that? And this person obviously is a troll, but unlike a lot of other creators, I answer the trolls. I go back in there and I'm like, no, you're not going to stand here and accuse me of racism half-ass like that and get away with it. I will not allow it to stand. That aggression will not stand, to borrow a quote from the dude. So anyway, we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. It means you can't take them away from them. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Let's talk about life and liberty for a second. Are the defendants that have been imprisoned for the January 6th riots, are they being provided a chance at life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? I would say no. And also, they're being deprived of due process. That's a huge deal. These are our founding fundamental documents. These are the things that they drilled into all of our heads as children. At least they used to. Back in my generation, Generation X, we still grew up with a lot of this stuff embedded into our brains at a young age, and rightfully so, because this is your rights they're talking about here. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Do you consent what's going on right now in Washington, D.C. and the deep state and every other thing? You know, World War III, we're on the cusp of that. I didn't even mention that earlier. We're going around everywhere Victoria Nuland goes. Dead bodies pile up behind her. Is that of your consent? Is that what you had in mind when you voted for these people? No, because you didn't vote for these people. I can't really go into depth very much about that, about 2020 or anything like that, because my video will get taken down because we are being censored. I mean, hell, they just took off one of the biggest voices that the right had, the conservatives had, Tucker Carlson. They kicked him off the air. Now they're talking about, just like I predicted, they're going to basically put a muzzle in his mouth where he can't talk until after 2024 is over. Well, who benefits? That's who I always look for. Who benefits? Joe Biden benefits. Isn't that interesting? He always seems to benefit. These commies always seem to benefit from someone else's firing or removing a voice of opposition. This is some Hitler, Stalin, Nazi fucking communist shit. We shouldn't be putting up with it in the United States of America. And, you know, it bothers me. It's been bothering me for several years when I try to celebrate the 4th of July. I'm like, am I doing this, ironically? Because most people don't give a shit about liberty anymore, it seems like. They're more worried about the collective, which is communism. Comes from Marxism. I can't stand it. It has no place in the United States of America or in any free society, but yet they're pushing this garbage down our throats and our kids' throats through indoctrination, communist indoctrination, every day, every year. People just keep sending their kids to public schools and keep playing the game until one day the game's going to be over. We're not going to have any liberty left. Whensoever any form of government become destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate the governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. So in other words, you got to have good reasons. Well, I think we got several good reasons right here. What we need is a revitalization in the 1776 spirit, the Declaration of Independence spirit that Americans used to have. And for whatever reason, within the last 10 years or so, it seems we've lost that. I mean, just the COVID tyranny alone. I could make an entire video about all the different stuff that happened during the COVID tyranny, from the lockdowns, the forced lockdowns, where the government was basically seizing control of the production. That's communism. Seizing control of production is communism. Oh, well, we'll let certain people open their businesses, but others cannot. That is selectively, picking and choosing winners and losers. And Trump was part of that deal. He didn't stop it. That's for damn sure. And then the vaccine. I have no problem with vaccines or the ideas. Vaccines, I believe, have saved a lot of people back in the day when we could trust them. But now I'm not so sure. The stuff that I've seen, the evidence that I've gathered on this stuff, and it hadn't been easy to gather it because the mainstream media was suppressing every bit of it, every critical piece of knowledge you and your family needed for life-altering, in some cases, life-ending decisions, medical decisions that you should have had an open doctor that you could have discussed different ideas and ideologies, but those doctors were being punished by the federal government if they spoke up against the vaccine. Anybody that speaks up against the vaccine gets swatted down. Why is that? Because they own the fucking country. That's why. We've allowed them to do it. We've allowed them to form monopolies. We used to have anti-monopoly laws, and we've allowed these big companies, these conglomerates like BlackRock and Vanguard and, State Street and all these other ones that are out there to buy up our entire system. And the founding fathers were dead set against this kind of tyranny. They didn't take it lightly. They didn't come out and do this just on a whim. They had a whole host of reasons they were declaring independence from the king. And you can go on and read it yourself. I'm not going to read the entire thing. There's a lot of great stuff in the Declaration of Independence. All men are created equal. We have rights that come from God, not government, God. You can't take those rights away from me, Joe Biden. You can't take those rights. The only thing they can do is if you give them those rights. That's it. Because these are your God-given natural rights. The right to free speech. They're enumerated in the Bill of Rights. The right to free speech, free press, the right to freedom of religion. I can't remember all of them, but there's 5 different rights listed in just the First Amendment. And then the Second Amendment to secure your First Amendment. All of these things are under open attack, frontal attack right now. They're not even hiding the fact. In the old days, the Democrats would pretend that they didn't really want to take all your guns. Now they're not even pretending that anymore. That should scare the shit out of you. If it doesn't, then you're not paying attention. You don't know what you've got. You don't know what you're fixing to lose. I don't know what it is that's wrong with this modern society. But tolerating this pure hedonism, this just out of control, over the top, sexualize everything, anything goes society that these liberals are pushing is not a good society. That is not how we want to be. We want to be good people, moral people that are grounded in, even if you're not a Christian, grounded in the 10 Commandments, grounded in, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not, covet thy neighbor's wife. I mean, those kinds of things are really important. Thou shalt not steal. All of those things are being shat upon by people like Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell. What a communist. I can't stand any of those people. All career lifer politicians, and yet somehow they keep getting voted into office. Somehow. Can't talk about that. Mail-in voting, can't talk about that. Ballot harvesting, can't talk about that. We are losing our country right before our very eyes, and most people are asleep at the wheel. And I get it, You go out, you work 40, 60 hours a week at some company trying to make ends meet, especially in Biden's economy. You're having to work extra. I'm having to work extra too to try to make ends meet. Looking at things around my property that I'm like, hey, I ain't using that. I need to sell that. I get it. It's stressful times right now, but I'm telling you, the most important thing, at least the way I view it, there was a famous quote that really summarizes it, and I hope I don't slaughter it, but if there be trouble, let it be in my day, so that my child may know peace. That's how we're supposed to be. Even if you don't have children, you want the future of America to go on. That's your legacy. You don't want to be a part of the thing that destroys the greatest country on earth. You want to be part of the thing that helps to rebuild that helps to secure those things. Am I saying it's time for revolution? Well, Thomas Jefferson thought we should have a revolution every generation. I think it is time for a revolution in thought. Not necessarily a violent revolution, but, the liberals have shown they're willing to use violence to get their way. George Floyd Summer of Love riots, Exhibit A. And that's just one of many. They can go into Capitol buildings all around the nation and bust in and disrupt Congress, the sessions of the day and stuff like that. And it's not called insurrection. But on January 6th, it was labeled insurrection because it suited their narrative. I was telling my wife the other day, I'm like, it feels like we're living in the Truman Show or something, where it's just all fake and someone else is up there laughing their ass off that, all this terrible stuff's happening to everyone in the United States. I just want you to know you're not alone. If you think like me, you're not alone. There are other patriots out there that are feeling like they're backed up into a corner right now. And what worries me is they've artificially been backed up into a corner to promote action. I think the FBI, the ATF, the CIA, Joe Biden, FJB, all of them are trying to make someone do something that they're going to regret or they could regret. Maybe they won't regret it, but I think they're trying to get people to take action. I think they're trying to activate their brown shirts again, and that's what happened just recently in Tennessee. I find it very, very interesting. Just to point out the double standard here is that, the Tennessee shooting and all that at the school, the Christian school, for one, they suppressed the fact that it was a Christian school. For two, the manifesto has just suddenly gone off the radar. Supposedly, we were going to find out what was in this LGBTQ person's manifesto, and rumor has it there was a lot of anti-family, anti-traditional American Christian value people, a lot of stuff like that was in there, and that's why they're not wanting to release it. It may be released eventually, but it'll probably be heavily redacted and taking all of the meat of the matter out of it like they always do. So don't worry, guys. The FBI is on it right now. They're protecting the LGBTQ community so, Biden can pull off another 2020, which is looking like what's going to happen. I mean, I am not holding my breath that no matter who the nominee is, no matter who it is for the Republicans, I am not holding my breath that they got a snowball's chance in hell against beating the machine that the Democrats have created. That's as much as I dare say about it. Hopefully you can read between the lines. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I'm just speaking my heart here, my mind. And I can tell you, we're backed into a corner, guys. And you know how it is. You back an animal into a corner, especially a wounded animal. There's only one thing to do, and that's come out swinging. So we're running out of options. I'm not seeing very many people, especially Republicans, doing anything. They seem feckless. Every time they get power in, the Congress or the Senate or whatever, they don't do jack squat. They might come out swinging at first, but then they peter out after a week or two and start doing all the stuff that Mitch McConnell wants to do, and just like Nancy Pelosi never left. I don't know when it happened. Ron Paul recently was on Timcast, and he said that he thinks the coup happened back in 1963. I believe that was the year JFK was shot. That's what he was talking about. When I presume the CIA or whatever they were labeled at the time decided that they didn't like JFK coming after the deep state and talking about getting rid of the Fed and doing these other things, and they ended his life. And they used a patsy, Lee Harvey Oswald. You could look at a lot of different instances like that. A lot of them along the way. Tim McVeigh. The whole thing with Waco. What's the other one? Ruby Ridge. On and on and on, where the FBI or the ATF or whoever, whatever they're called now, DHS, has been setting traps for people and luring in and baiting them into doing these things, even providing them weapons in many cases. Wasn't that one of the things about the Boston bombing, or one of those? I don't know. There's so many what appear to be false flags that have happened over the years, or CIA, FBI, productions, that it's hard to keep up with what's real and what's not. So, hang in there, guys. I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. That's the only way. The American spirit that I know is deep down inside of there has to be resparked. And I guess it's going to have to get a lot worse. It may come to the point where the dollar collapses, or they get us into such warfare with this, global war that Biden's getting going, that, we're so spread out that we start getting our asses handed to us. And then maybe people will wake up and go, hey, wait a minute, we're losing. We're the United States of America. We're supposed to be a superpower. Why is this happening? Hopefully people will start asking those questions. Biden can't even do a press conference without cheat notes. That's how far gone he is. He is completely controlled. And my guess is there's a communist brain trust behind Biden pulling his strings. Barack Obama, Susan Rice, they're at the head, and Hillary Clinton, they're at the head of this evil hydra that we're facing. Barack Obama has said things in the past that basically he's pulling the strings of Biden. He said that he would, if he could run a third term and basically just do it from behind the scenes, he would do that. You can find the quote. Go look it up. Obama said that. So I don't know why our people that we've elected are not doing their jobs and bringing all these people to justice. Meanwhile, they're attacking, the other side is attacking their political enemies on every single little non-dotted I or non-crossed T on Trump's tax papers and stuff like that. They're going after Tucker Carlson for lawsuits and other things. A lady is suing Tucker that never even met him, was never even in the same room as him, and is accusing him of like creating some sort of a hostile, sexual environment or something like that. It's just unfreaking believable. She'll probably win in the system we live in. So guys, you better have your pocket constitution with you. You better know your rights, because they're coming to take them away from you. Death by 1,000 cuts every single day. They're not going to just come right out and say, oh, we're going to take away your First Amendment, until it's already gone, until there's no other place for you to speak because you've been deleted from the internet, from the town square that we call the internet, social media sites and stuff like that. So guys, let me know what you're thinking down in the comments. I mean, are we on the verge of 1776, or are we going to be stuck in 1984 forever? It seems like right now everybody's stuck in 1984, and most people are willing to put up with it, and I don't understand that at all. So let me know what you're thinking down in the comments. What can we do? What can we do to right this ship? We're heading toward the abyss, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. Appreciate you tuning in. Always love reading your comments. Hit the like button if you like it. Subscribe if you want to see more. And until then, we'll see you next time.